What's genuinely fascinating to me is how a single word like albeit, which basically just means although or even though, can instantly elevate a completely basic sentence. So instead of saying something like, the trip was enjoyable but expensive, you can write, the trip was enjoyable, albeit expensive. See how much more academic that sounds? We also have aspect, meaning a part or feature of something. For instance, cost is an important aspect of the decision. Then there's constant, which just means continuous. Despite beautifully signals without being affected by, like, despite the rain, we went outside. And finally, we have evident, meaning it's clear to see or totally obvious. Moving right along down the list, I really want you to pay special attention to the word hence, which means therefore or for this reason. For example, you could say, demand increased, hence prices rose. Next up, look at nevertheless and nonetheless. Both of these essentially mean despite that or however, and let me tell you, they are absolute powerhouses for connecting your ideas logically when you need to show a contrast. We also have furthermore to add new information, meaning in addition, and likewise to show similarity, literally meaning in the same way. So the really crucial point here is getting comfortable with transitions like notwithstanding. I know, it sounds super intimidating, right? But it just beautifully functions to mean in spite of a challenge. You could simply say, notwithstanding the challenges, the project succeeded. It sounds incredibly advanced, but it's actually quite straightforward to use. We also see obvious, meaning easy to understand, occur, meaning to happen, odd, meaning strange, and predominant, which is great for identifying the main or strongest element, like saying, English is the predominant language in the meeting. All right, let's lock in these final 5 words. Somewhat literally just means a little or fairly. Straightforward means simple and clear. And this next one brilliantly illustrates our final advanced transitions. Whereas is used to show contrast, as in she likes coffee, whereas I prefer tea. Then we have whereby, meaning by which or through which a certain system operates. And finally, thereby, which elegantly signals as a result of a previous action. For example, he exercised daily, thereby improving his health. Section 3. Barnaby's confusing town meeting. Let's see these connective words in action. So our story actually begins when a guy named Barnaby accidentally became the leader of a town meeting. Nobody knew how it happened, and honestly, Barnaby certainly didn't know either. The meeting was meant to discuss every aspect of town life. Barnaby nodded seriously, although he privately thought an aspect was some type of insect. Now, a constant problem in town was the local bakery's giant rooster, which regularly just stole sandwiches right out of the hands of tourists. Despite dozens of complaints, the bird continued its criminal career completely unchecked. Well, it soon became evident to everyone in the room that some serious action was required. Furthermore, said one worried resident, the rooster has learned how to open doors. The whole room fell dead silent. Hence, said another resident, we need a stronger fence. Likewise, added a third, we should protect the town's sandwiches. Barnaby was writing all this down very carefully. Unfortunately, he was writing it all on a napkin. This problem was seriously getting out of hand. Nevertheless, Barnaby remained highly optimistic. He announced, nonetheless, that he had a brilliant plan. Now, to be fair, nobody felt better after hearing this, but notwithstanding Barnaby's long-standing reputation for terrible ideas, the townspeople listened. His plan was actually very straightforward. They would simply build a giant fence around the bakery. When you think about it, the solution seemed incredibly obvious. But then, a very odd thing happened. The rooster itself actually showed up to the meeting. It casually walked right through the front door, stole Barnaby's lunch straight out of his pocket, and just left without even making eye contact. This humiliating event would later occur in every single local newspaper, instantly becoming the predominant topic of discussion for months. And as you might guess, this left poor Barnaby somewhat embarrassed. Naturally, the town was quickly divided. Some people wanted a fence, whereas others fiercely demanded professional rooster trainers. Finally, an engineer proposed a really clever system whereby small gates would automatically close whenever the rooster approached. The gates were installed the very next week, thereby permanently ending the rooster sandwich empire in a highly successful, albeit wildly expensive, project. Section 4. The Synonym Challenge. Time to test your vocabulary recall. Okay, you've seen these words in context, so now let's put your recall to the test. I'm going to read the phrase, give you a brief pause to lock in your answer in your head, and then I'll reveal the correct choice. Ready? Question 1. The trip was enjoyable, albeit expensive. Which is the closest synonym for albeit? If you said B, although, you nailed it. For question 2, cost is an important aspect of the decision. The correct answer is A, part. And for question 3,
There was constant noise from the construction site. The synonym for constant is be, continuous. Great start.
All right, let's keep that momentum going with the next set. Question 4. She succeeded despite many difficulties. The answer is C, in spite of. Awesome. Question 5. It became evident that the plan would fail. The absolute best synonym here is A, clear. And question 6. The task was difficult. Nevertheless, we finished it. The closest meaning to nevertheless from this list is B, however.
Moving right along, let's look at question 7. That is an odd question. The synonym we're looking for is C, strange. Question 8. The instructions were straightforward. This one perfectly aligns with A, easy to understand. And question 9. English is the predominant language used in the meeting. The predominant language means B, the main language.
And here we are at our final challenge question. She likes coffee, whereas I prefer tea. So the connective whereas is used specifically to show a contrast between two facts or ideas, making option C, in contrast, the absolute best choice here. How'd you do? If you nailed these, your active vocabulary is already expanding right before your eyes. Section 5. Final thoughts and review. Wrapping up your vocabulary upgrade. Seriously, take a quick moment to appreciate what you've just accomplished. You have officially processed 20 high-level connective words. Make sure you don't forget to grab the PDF guide linked in the description so you can keep these words handy. And hey, drop a comment below letting me know which of these was your favorite new word.